Hey, welcome to SchezzWho, your top spot for politics. And as of my episode with Virginia Congress candidate Tim Sawinski last night, I was at 216 subs. Now I'm at 219. So let's keep growing. Growth, be it here on YouTube or TikTok, requires your participation and consumption of SchezzWho. So keep it simple. Subscribe to SchezzWho, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. And let's shout out the important folks who keep SchezzWho running. And I'm going to begin with The Dissent Agenda, which is a lovely podcast created by Melissa Lucasen and Cody Connor here in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And their StreamYard account is where I do my show from. So definitely make sure you subscribe to The Dissent Agenda. And don't forget Mr. Farley Perkins at the insurance broker Farley Perkins Agency, because he can help you out with insurance. He's helped me out, so I know he can help you out. Also love Miss Ellen's Home Style and Barbecue Express. Great friend of mine who runs two restaurants, one here in Portsmouth and one in Virginia Beach across from Regent University. So look up Ellen's Home Style and Barbecue Express. And also ELG Sweet Boutique, which is a great place for ice cream right after you finish a nice dinner from Ellen's Home Style Barbecue Express. And ELG Sweet Boutique is at 340 High Street here in Portsmouth. And don't forget Positive Vibes Incorporated by my good friend, Mr. Seiko Varner, who can help you out with a lot of monetary reasons. He can also help you if you need a DJ. He's a great DJ. And he also created the Hampton Roads Green Book, which is a fantastic application to find Black-owned businesses here in Hampton Roads. Last but not least, the Black Swan Mindset, The Chronicles, a podcast and Substack run by my awesome wife, Andrea Dixon Chesviner. So make sure where you get your podcasts and Substacks, you look for the Black Swan Mindset, The Chronicles. So tonight, SchezzWho heads out to Florida. The guest is Florida Democratic State Representative Angie Nixon. She's a union organizer. She's a mother. She's a proven fighter. And she's born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, where she represents Florida's 13th district. She attended historic Stanton Prep in Jacksonville and graduated from the University of Florida. She's been on the front lines in expanding child care. She's put up resistance to grocery store price hikes. And she's been against Ron DeSantis' redoing of Florida's voting maps. She now runs in the Democratic primary to hopefully battle Ashley Moody this November. We're going to bring her on right now. Representative Nixon, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for wanting to come on right in the middle of the session. We're about to talk about some good politics, so I hope we have fun. I want to lead off with this because considering where in Florida you represent, I want to go back to 2019 because I had won an ESPN radio contest here in the 757 to represent the Raiders at a draft party at the Eagles Nest Country Bar. And I would be a guy who would go up on stage and predict the Raiders pick as if I was the actual general manager. That year was really cool because the Raiders had 3 picks in the first round and I missed all of them, but nonetheless, it was quite fun. But that night I learned from Jaguar fans in attendance what happens when Jaguars get announced. And let's see if I do this right. Duval.
That is absolutely wrong. Duval. That is how you do it. And you can't do like the new coach did. Duval. Like you will get picked on very badly.
To on Miami-based sports show called the Dan Le Batard Show, and he does play that bit quite a bit. So
right.
Now, I looked up a little bit of some past interviews for you. After all, I'm in Virginia. I wanted to study. I heard you're a small business owner, so let's unpack that a little bit. What is Melanin Market?
Yeah, so the Melanin Market is actually an organization that I co-founded. It's a marketplace that I co-founded with my friend Don Curling. I am no longer one of the organizers for the event. I was there for 8 years, and it was an opportunity in a way for us to showcase Black-owned businesses as well as to connect them to different resources. We were able to start giving out small grants and seed money for some of those businesses. It was also a way for us to really build community and actually have just great family-friendly events and placemaking events in Jacksonville in a predominantly Black area, a historic predominantly Black area called the East Side community. And so I am super excited about all of the hard work and dedication that I put into that organization, and to just see it continue to grow even after you leave it on good terms is just great.
Also curious, what is the Adventures of Moxie
I
McGriff?
can't hear you, Conrad.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Is that a little bit better?
It went out.
How's the stream? Can you see me?
Let me see. Is that me?
I see you. That I know for sure. And I hear you as well.
Okay, can we try it again?
Yeah. Is that better?
It completely went out. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I cannot hear you at all, and I don't know what's happening.
Uh,
Maybe
let's
I'm gonna drop out and log back in. I'm sorry.
yeah, let's try that real quick. All right, she is dropped off. Now we're going to bring her back on and see if she can hear me and see me better than that. I will admit, I have been hearing a little sketchiness on my end. Just from the feed, it sounds slow on my end. My bad, I apologize. You know, they always say, watch out for dead air.
All right, now I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's go right into the next one. The Adventures of Moxie McGriff. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So that was a book that me and my then 7-year-old daughter, who's actually 18 right now, that we wrote because Natalie, which is the name of my daughter, was having some issues, some self-esteem issues and confidence issues. She didn't like her hair, which was natural, and she wore Afro puffs a lot. She also didn't like her skin complexion, and she just really hated to read. And so I asked her if she wanted to maybe write a book with me where we could make her a superpower. I'm sorry, a superhero. And she said, that'll be cool. And I told her, in order for you to do that, though, you were going to have to read more books because I was like, who wants to read books with the same boring words over and over again? And my idea behind that was exposing her to more words so that she can expand her vocabulary. And also, we made her into a superhero in the book. It was a comic book, a 3-part comic book series in which her Afro puffs became her superpowers, fire and ice. And she goes on to defeat the book eating monsters that wanted to eat all the books in the public library to make the kids dumb, basically. And so we wrote this book together to really build confidence in who she was, and it's also to help her become a stronger reader. And we actually won. We won the One Spark Festival in the education category, and it was a really good opportunity for me and my daughter to bond. We traveled the country hosting workshops, reading and writing workshops. She presented. We went all the way to Alaska and New York and California, and so she had a great opportunity growing up, being able to do that.
Excellent. Excellent parenting and just a great way to travel, too. Excellent stuff. How about
You
Natalie's?
went out again.
Really? Oh, man. Let's see if I can. And better? Is that better?
I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Let me try again.
Mhm. Beware of the dead air, they say. How about now? The feed does sound a little crackly, but it could
Okay,
just be
now it's good. Yep,
you hear me
now it's
good.
good.
The last two times I brought myself off the screen when I came back, I couldn't be heard, so I'm not going to take myself off.
Yeah, just stay right here.
See how that works. Let's go right into Natalie's Nook Candy Shop and Cafe
Yeah.
Resistance. A little bit
So
about that.
yeah, we no longer own Natalie's Nook and Candy Shop. We actually shut that down. We opened that business right during COVID. And yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But we actually opened up a bookstore called Cafe Resistance Bookstore and Coffee Shop. And one of the reasons that we decided to open that bookstore is because they decided to ban books here in Florida, which is just ridiculous. And so we actually we also are a coffee shop and a cafe, and so we have access to good nutritious foods in a food desert in Jacksonville. And so we use that space not only as a bookstore and coffee shop, but a third space. It's a community hub where we host workshops, mental health workshops, free tutoring. There's a lot of community organizations that do power building and do community organizing that utilize that space. And so we are happy to be like one of the mainstays in the North Side community now, and just it's just a place where people can come and have a sense of community and feel safe and feel loved and wanted.
So you ran for the House out of the Jacksonville area in Florida. What spurred your political consciousness?
Yeah, for sure. So what spurred my political consciousness is I actually I had worked on campaigns before, but I became a community organizer after helping elect the first Black mayor of Jacksonville. I was his deputy field director. And there was an organization by the name of Florida New Majority that came and wanted to learn how we were able to do that. And so they kind of liked that I was a little hustler and that I always worked hard and just tried to do whatever to get the job done and really cared about my community. Because I lost my cousin to the school to prison pipeline, and he actually was shot and killed right after I had graduated from college. And so um, I started working with that organization, and I learned all about people power and learned about how money power is currently ruling our country right now, and how people power, organized people can actually beat organized money any day if you make sure you're organized, right? And so I really started to wake up even more because of that and learn different things. And so just working in the community, right? Like realizing even at a very young age when I was bussed across town because my mom said she didn't want to make the same mistake she made with my brother, which was letting me go to a neighborhood school. Like I knew something was wrong. I was like, why are you like I was pissed because I didn't want to leave my friends. And so I think just realizing that there are certain communities and neighborhoods that don't have the same resources that more affluent sides of town have. And so wanting to change that, wanting to make sure that my cousin death would never, nothing like that would happen again, particularly because he had a son that was a year older than my daughter, and me standing in front of them giving remarks at his funeral, not wanting my daughter to lose her favorite cousin. And, also just working with Florida New Majority and learning about power. I just like that, all of those things raised my consciousness about the fact that like we deserve so much more. Right now, there are billionaires and greedy billionaires and really corrupt corporations that just want us to work at younger ages, start working at younger ages for longer hours and keep working right up until our death. And it's so upsetting that we have allowed these corrupt corporations to choose our policies for us. I honestly believe that hardworking families and communities should determine what their communities look like and should determine what their economies look like. But right now, the people at the top are deciding that for us, for the majority of the people. And that doesn't make sense to me.
What have been to this point your most proud accomplishments in the House?
Yeah, so I was able to get one of the bills that I had sponsored. The following year, they got my bill, they picked my bill and put it in an omnibus bill to actually help expand access to childhood education and allow early childhood education providers to be paid a little bit more and equally across the board. And so that was one of my major accomplishments here. And then also helping to stop price gouging in hardworking communities, because there was some really greedy big box stores that were price gouging in areas where they were low income communities and some working class communities. And so I was able to get them to stop overcharging like $3 and $4 more for certain products in those communities. And so able to put thousands of dollars back on in people's pockets a year is something that I will always be proud of.
You're running in the Florida Democratic primary for Senate. And I found out about your campaign through a Facebook friend who lives in Miami who is well connected in Florida politics. I was intrigued because he shared one of your news stories, or I believe it was a video of yours, where you had been told by a couple people that it might be best if you dropped out of the race. And his
Mhm.
comment was um, that basically, if the party doesn't want you to run, it probably means you're the right choice. I kind of like that idea, and I just read today and saved a meme that the New York Times just did a focus group of Democrats, and the group had the following opinion of the Democratic Party: spineless, more complacent than they thought they would be, paralyzed, afraid, incompetent, given up, sold out, unmotivated, and filled with a growing range of people who wish to do more than the party actually does. So, this brings me to you. What is your opinion on Democratic primary and what you might critique about them?
Yeah, so you know, I am a lifelong Democrat. I think that we have some amazing values, right? Um, I do think that we need to be brought up to the 21st century. And I think we need to be more aggressive. Uh, which oftentimes they say Black women are aggressive, right? I think we need to be more aggressive and more assertive. And we don't need to cede any ground. The problem that has been happening right now with like the Democratic Party is that, and Democrats, a lot of Democrats in general, is that we are acting as though the folks in leadership in the Republican Party are good adversaries, and they are not. Like, they are not. They are actively trying to harm us, not just push bad policy. They are trying to harm us. And I would say trying to kill off some of our communities.
Mhm.
And so when you are dealing with that, that is your enemy, right? Unfortunately. And it is not the hardworking people that are Republicans, it is the folks that are in leadership, like the Donald Trumps, like the Pam Bondis, like uh, the Ashley Moody's and the Governor Ron DeSantis. Those are the people that are the problem. And it's actually not just them, it is those corporations that are, you know, padding their campaign coffers, because those are the ones that are actually running the show, right? These greedy corporations that, like I stated earlier, just want us to continue to work and not get paid. And so that's why they passing all these harmful bills. And so we as a Democratic Party, we gotta we gotta get active. We gotta hustle. We have to meet people where they are. When folks like the Black Panther Party over in California, when they saw that kids were going to school hungry, they started a free breakfast program. When
Mm.
they saw that they didn't have access to quality health care, they started free health clinics. And when they were able to help those people meet their most basic needs, then they were able to start really working to educate people about political power and why they are in the situation they are in, right? Why they were in the situation they were in is because they didn't have political power. And so we have to, as Democrats, like weave that narrative and let folks know like the direct correlation to why they're hurting right now, why we are basically only alive to work right now. That is crazy. We are only living right now to work. Like, we're not working just to live. We are living just to work. And that is not what people start families for.
Mhm.
And that is something we should be disgusted and appalled about. Like, to allow lawmakers to make us feel less than just because we want rest, just because we want to be able to go on vacations, like that's BS to me. And the reason they say that is because these corporations that pad their campaign coffers want us to feel as though people are lazy just because they want to take a break. That's wild. And
Mhm.
so it's time that we start electing people who come from the community, who come from hard-working communities, and who care about hard-working people because we are working hard. AF, right?
Yes.
But there are people who are trying to make it seem like we're not. It is so dumb to me and so dead wrong and egregious for lawmakers to be okay now with lowering work um workplace protections, now allowing trying to let 13 and 14-year olds like be able to work longer hours, and like they're trying to make that be okay. These kids should be able to be kids. Yes, they should be able to have some type of responsibility, but that's why you do chores.
Yep.
They shouldn't have to be getting jobs and becoming the cheap labor force right now because they want to, make more money. Like literally in the state of Florida, I was arguing the other day in our committee, they want to lower the age of not lower the age, they want to lower the amount of our minimum wage. So we were able to get it on a ballot a few years ago to change the minimum wage and to make it go up incrementally each year to $15 an hour.
Mhm.
And so it's going to be 15 this year. It's come September, it's 14 right now. These people here in leadership, the Republican Party said, hey, we want to pass a bill where we are allowing folks to come in and they can sign a waiver to start a work-based learning job at $7.25 an hour, up to 9 months, only up to 9 months. But they got to sign a waiver. That is circumventing what the people of the state wanted and put on the ballot and change the Constitution for. And
Mhm.
mind you, $7.25 is the minimum wage across the country. Like, that is the federal minimum wage. And that is absurd and obscene because I don't know anyone that can live off $7.25. And it's disrespectful. Like, they're trying to treat us like we're dumb. And it's wrong. And again, it goes back to greedy billionaires and corrupt corporations that just want us to work for them forever for very cheap labor cost.
True that. Now, Texas started the ball rolling with a gerrymandered partisan district map. And I know that Florida's Ron DeSantis has been on the warpath trying to do a change of Florida's map too. Here in Virginia, we have Democrats that responded in kind and are just finished with voting on a map that could realistically up Virginia's 6 Democrats in the House to 10. And Ted Cruz pitched a fit. And then Senator Louise Lucas, who is the Senate pro temp here in my city of Portsmouth, said in response to Ted Cruz, you guys started it and we're fucking finishing it. That's the spirit, in my opinion. So I want to know your take with that spirit on all these changing maps across the country.
Again, Republicans are not good adversaries right now in this moment. Maybe past Republicans decades ago, but right now, absolutely not. And so, if they gonna do it, we need to do it better. I am in agreement with it. That is what we need to do. So, shout out to Virginia. Shout out to California. Let's go.
I like it. I'm also a big proponent of national single payer healthcare. It lowers administrative costs. It eliminates people not being covered for healthcare. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
When I was on the ACA and using the premium supports, it kind of ruined my tax returns at the end of the year. But I kind of want to just scrap all that and not worry about ACA premiums vanishing like Moody would want, and completely make our system covered at point of service and not mess with anyone's taxes. What would you wish to do?
Yeah, so it is my goal for us to definitely have things like universal health care, right? That is the goal, right? I know right now we got to figure out the money. Definitely, if we would stop sending money overseas to help destroy communities, that could help a lot. And definitely, if we stop paying law enforcement officers to dress up and be masked and to terrorize our communities, that would help be able to pay for healthcare costs. But look, I think that we, for right now, definitely need to go back to the drawing board and expand the ACA subsidies. And then we need to do a complete reform of the ACA program because it was not perfect at all, right? And then we need to figure out how to balance the budget so that we can actually afford to provide folks healthcare coverage, period. And so that is like the goal. I do know, having been a lawmaker for 6 years now, that there are incremental steps that you got to take, right? To make sure that that is feasible and that you don't bankrupt your country, which is almost starting to be right now.
Yeah.
And so, like, that would be the goal of an Angie Nixon as a U.S. senator.
And you did mention the bad concept of sending money overseas that destroyed communities. I want you to hold that thought because I'll bring that up in another question. But this leads from national single payer health insurance into an idea I was germinating today when formulating this question on the topic of Florida home insurance. It's a problem because more and more insurance is leaving the state. And I said that that could be a problem of capitalism having negative impacts on the wallets of citizens. So, as
Mhm.
someone who is a lawmaker in Florida, what would you think of something akin to like a national single payer of home insurance, which could be created as we see FEMA being gutted and private insurers moving out of states? And I know that would happen in Virginia too, because we're right next to the water as well and just as susceptible to hurricanes.
Right,
What are your
right.
thoughts on
So yeah, so it's something that I would definitely want to look more into and possibly be open to. I definitely think we need to have government options as it relates to property insurance issues, right? Because right now these insurance companies are really getting over on folks, and then they're not even paying out claims when they are trying when people are filing claims. They then folks have to wind up getting attorneys. Some attorneys now, just based in the state of Florida, like, are saying that they won't even take up some of the claims because the attorneys can't even recoup their cost from winning a lawsuit in that way, and so that'll basically diminish the amount of funds that people can use to even build their house. It's just to fix their homes. And so this is just, it is just these corrupt corporations. And so I definitely feel we need to have some type of public option as it relates to property insurance. And so I would definitely be supportive of that to
Yeah,
lower those costs.
and I recall because it was brought up more than a few times in some of the interviews of yours I've seen, and I think that's because people on the other side are trying to say that we should help affordability by cutting property taxes, and you pointed out that actually the insurance and what could be insurance leaving the state is a much more threatening concern.
Yeah, I just, if you get rid of property taxes, it's only going to cause us to have more regressive taxes because our local governments are going to cease to be able to function the way in which they need to and to make sure that they are able to provide public safety. And
Mhm.
so if we get rid of property taxes the way in which the Republicans are proposing here in the state of Florida, it's going to be devastating. It is going to cause us right now, I think in the state of Florida, I think our sales taxes are at 6% or so. And so instead of that, it's going to be 15 to 21%. That means instead of that dollar you have to spend, you only going to really have 75 cents to I'm sorry, not 75 cents. You're really gonna have 85 to 79 cents to spend, and that is on the dollar. And that's not that's going yeah, that's gonna hurt. So we already talking about how many less bags of groceries we have right now when we're going to the store. Those 5 bags may trim down to 2 or 3.
I know that you are a great fighter for unions. My next questions, or a series of questions, come from a friend of mine who moved to Florida. I believe they live to the south of the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg area. Her name is Jen Chalker. She's a school counselor heavily invested in mental health, but recently she was punished for making public comments in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And her family is looking to move abroad now for better career opportunities. So let's start about teacher unions. How will you work to combat bills that possibly are trying to destroy teachers' unions?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we need to look at stopping the at will stuff, but also like making sure that we're stopping the attacks on collective bargaining. Like that is the problem right now. And again, who's pushing these bills, right? Like
Mhm.
who's pushing these anti-union bills? It's these corporations. It is more profitable for our children to go to private prisons because people make money off private prisons than it is to actually educate our kids. That's why they're attacking the unions. They don't want our teachers to feel empowered. They don't want our teachers to have the resources that they need. I don't know about y'all, but have you all seen how many teachers every year in August start asking for people to donate to their Amazon wish list?
Yep.
Why are our teachers spending money or begging for money to make sure that they can stock up their classroom with supplies? And that is not that is a failure of the Republican led legislature here in the state of Florida. And it is so disgusting. But it is because they're trying to privatize public education. They want to basically privatize it all, and allow these vouchers to proliferate, so that these corporate schools can make money. And don't get me wrong, right? Like, I want to be able to educate our kids in whatever way that we can. However, if we really fully fund public education, we wouldn't have so many low test scores, or our children wouldn't be failing the way they are. But it's because there has been a concerted attack by Republicans here in the state of Florida to demonize public education, to cause them to not have the funding that they need to be able to adequately provide quality education. That's why we're here. And so it is so unfortunate, but it's all again because of money. And so we need to make sure we fully fund public education. We need to make sure that we are really staffing up the labor board, and making sure that we are allowing people the right to collectively bargain and not union bust.
And I'm seconding a lot of the properly directed ire toward big business and billionaires because so often we're told to look negatively towards marginalized communities when it's Elon Musk, the billionaire of billionaires who led Doge and was cutting so much from the federal government,
Oh, you
including.
mean Elon Musk, the former illegal immigrant?
Mhm.
Yeah, that
And he was
guy.
also in the Jeffrey files. even though he tried to
Mhm.
say it was just Trump. Also, the fact that the Trump administration put another billionaire in charge with the Department of Education, and then they plan to scuttle the
The
entire
one who was over the wrestling
department.
WWE, yeah, crazy.
And this, again, we got to properly direct our ire at the people who need to have ire directed at. And it reminds me of you're running for a federal office, and federal budget cuts going to affect the availability of supplemental programs to support student success. And would a Florida Senator Nixon put our advocacy in front of that and head it off?
Of course. I mean, I've already been speaking out against cuts to services, to education, to all those things. And so I will continue my advocacy, and it will just now be at a federal level.
Perfect. I like to see more senators actually be advocates for good things, because I've noticed that you have not shied away from taking strong stances for things that you probably aren't even on voting on just in that moment, because it's important to have our leaders.
It's important to talk about it, to raise awareness about it. And like that's what, you know, if you have the platform, you need to use it correctly. If it doesn't make sense for you to be in office and not voting for things just because it's not politically expedient for you, if it's the right thing. Like you you're there to vote correctly, right? Like to vote, not to think about whether or not you're gonna get reelected because you're gonna be targeted by this special interest group. You need to vote the right way. If more people actually started looking out for hardworking people, um, and like what they need, a lot of this stuff would not be happening. We would not be in the situation that we're in right now.
And the last question I have from Ms. Chalker, who again is a Florida resident. What is her opinion on the state of Florida furthering a partnership with Israel and sending state funds to them?
So my opinion is that that should not happen.
I would agree with that.
I mean, it's just simple as that. Like our money should be here for us. There's a lot of issues that need funding here in the state of Florida and across the country. And so that money should be there. Now, yeah.
Yeah, is one might think that we should be too much of a, or that we are too much of an ally to Israel. And sometimes I think that they control a little bit of our interests a little bit too much, and that we need to be more, as you just put it, focused on Floridians, focused on Virginians, and making sure that literally the United States is using its tax dollars in the right way, and not, as you said earlier, going overseas to communities that get destroyed because of our tax dollars. And
Right. Like
get
we should have been bailing out our farmers, not Argentina's farmer, cattle. Like it's just
you remember the Argentina bailout, I think was like 40 billion, and the bailout Trump did for the American Heartlands farmers was only like 13, 14 billion. So come on, we're going to do it the right way.
exactly. That ain't very patriotic to me.
No, it is not. There is a belief that Florida and statewide races are kind of just giving Republican victories. And I don't know if that's going to always be true. It wasn't always true in the past. And I know in 2018, there was a tremendous Trump backlash, as there is now. And Florida had a governor race that year. It was very close. DeSantis got less than 50% of the vote, and Andrew Gillum got about 49.1%. So it was a
Yeah.
very close race. Trump is much more unpopular now than he was in 2018. The economy is even worse off for citizens. ICE is in the streets abusing people, and Trump's government is sending people to things like Alligator Alcatraz there in Florida.
Exactly.
I believe Ashley Moody could be very vulnerable in this climate.
She is vulnerable for sure. She's very vulnerable, and Democrats can win right now. And you know what? This isn't even about being a Democrat. the person who's going to win, which I believe is me, it has to be someone who really cares about people and who really speaks to the issues. And I'm someone who has been speaking to the issues and like working to ensure that hardworking people like catch a break. Right now, we're being screwed. Like all of America is being screwed. Well, I'm sorry, not all of America. The majority of Americans, the 99%, or maybe it's like 98.5% right now, we're being screwed. And if we want that to change, right, like we got to start electing people who really care about people. And so I think Floridians are ready to see things change, right? Like everybody's pocketbooks are like abysmal right now. And so, yes, getting the squeeze. And so it doesn't make any sense for us to continue to do the same thing over and over again. That is the definition of insanity. And Ashley Moody is more of the same. And look, we need to vote for someone who is experienced with working with people. That would be me. When you're thinking about a primary, I am the most experienced in this Democratic primary. I am the one who knows and has had more conversations with voters, not just voters, honestly, but Floridians in general, right? I am someone who's been on the front lines. I am someone who has been in the belly of the beast working in a minority caucus, having to deal with majority folks, right? I am someone who has faced threats and still continue to persevere and still continue to fight relentlessly and resiliently. And so I like, this is my state. This is my country. I'm critical of it because I know what it can become and how great it can be. And I'm ready for us to start actually dreaming big and working towards accomplishing those dreams as hardworking people should, and not just living in the dream of the top 1% in our country.
And I know we only have a few minutes before we decide to wrap up here tonight, but I just got back onto looking at the screen and not at my script of questions, and I noticed Jen actually made a couple comments that I want to throw up on the screen because she is concerned about Representative Jenna Malika Persons and her ties to her father as the Lee County School Board member. I don't know how much you might know about that, but she's curious. And I wonder why she is so against public education with her father being the chair. I don't know if she means.
I mean, yeah, so again, just because someone is on a school board does not necessarily mean they have the interest, the best interest of children and schools. There's a lot of folks that are on school boards that are actually trying to destroy public education as we know it. And I believe her father is probably one of those, right? And so I am totally against the way in which the rep actually legislates. She's also pushing a voter suppression bill right now that is going to have a chilling effect all across the state of Florida. She's also pushed, I believe she's pushed the fetal personhood bill that will basically criminalize, potentially criminalize mothers if their children, I'm sorry, criminalize pregnant women if they lose a fetus. Also, she's just really put forth some really bad bills, and so it's ridiculous. But yeah, she doesn't care about public education. Um, she doesn't care about a woman's right to choose, and she definitely doesn't care about us having the right to vote.
Yeah, I'd be particularly against if I was in the legislative body as someone who wants to have a personhood bill put forth like that, especially because I think there was a congresswoman in Florida who made news as a Republican for an ectopic pregnancy that almost took
Yeah,
her life. And
Cat Kamick, I think.
yeah, if I recall that name correctly, and that would a bill like that would have criminalized her, and all it did was save her life.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I want to wrap up by putting the last question to you as like you're pitching yourself to a field of Democrat primary voters as to why they should vote for you in Florida for the primary, and then again come November when you verse Moody.
Yeah, for sure. So I am here before you all today, humbly asking for your support. I definitely need folks' time, talent, and treasure. I am a grassroots organizer and someone who truly loves the state of Florida, having been born and raised here, but even more importantly, having been on the front lines the past nearly 2 decades. I know what Floridians and Americans are facing all across this country and this state, and how we are hurting, and how we deserve so much more. And so, as someone who has continually weathered the storm and been fighting against really big business and folks who basically just want to want cheap labor, right? Who basically don't want us to catch a break. I've been fighting against them and actually winning in certain areas. And so I am the most experienced candidate. And so I'm asking for folks to support. I know that I can win. I know that I can galvanize uh, different types of people, diverse groups of people, diverse communities all across the state. I actually know that I can do this, and I have been doing this, right? I am someone who represents not only Democrats, but I represent all hardworking people. I believe that yes, we definitely need a fighter, and that is me. I have been fighting, but we also need someone who will lead with compassion and lead with integrity and vision. And right now, we need to get rid of folks like Donald Trump and Pam Bondi. And I just want folks to know that if the House votes to impeach, I would be one of the senators that votes to remove. And so I'm super excited. I asked people to join our People Powered campaign at angienixon.com. Make a donation, a recurring donation. We love it. Connect us to people all across the state that they may know. And let's get ready to actually build a new vision for our country, one where everyone has the opportunity to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. And we all have the opportunity to no longer just survive, but actually thrive and flourish. And so I'm excited and looking forward to being the next U.S. Senator from the state of Florida.
Time to flourish in Florida by voting for Angie
Exactly.
Nixon. Now,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming on SchezzWho tonight. I know you have to get right back to fighting for Floridians tomorrow in the Florida House of
Yeah, I'm
Representatives.
gonna be headed back over to the Capitol. Woo! Yes, to that building and arguing some really bad bills. We have some anti-DEI bills that are coming up, and I look forward to continuing to be the voice of the people and reason.
Well, hope you have a great night tonight. Thank you for coming on, and I will definitely be watching all the way from Virginia for your success in the upcoming Democrat primary. Miss
Thank
Angie Nixon,
you.
Representative, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. And this has been another great SchezzWho. Definitely look right there for AngieNixon.com. Make sure that you look her up for Floridians who would be watching. Vote for her in the upcoming Democrat primary. And stay tuned for more SchezzWho, your top spot for politics. You have a great night.